What is going on, WatchWire fam? The news cycle is absolutely relentless, and we are here to break down the biggest stories that you need to know. Get ready, because today we've got some earth-shattering updates, mind-bending tech revelations, and some major legal battles that could reshape industries. You won't want to miss a second of this as we dive deep into the headlines that are dominating the conversation. From groundbreaking tech announcements to critical legal challenges, we've got it all covered, served up fast and hot. So buckle up, stay locked in, and let's get straight into it. First up, a tech giant is facing a serious legal challenge over its environmental claims, and the verdict could have massive implications. Then, we're peering into the crystal ball to see what's next for one of the most popular wearable devices on the market, with some exciting, and maybe surprising, details on the upcoming releases. We'll also touch on a major tech event that just dropped some significant news. And finally, we're revisiting that crucial legal ruling that's putting eco-friendly marketing under the microscope. Stick around because this is WatchWire News, and we've got your daily download. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an update. Germany delivers blow to Apple's green claims. Germany isn't buying Apple's green Apple Watch pitch. A significant legal battle is unfolding in Germany, where a regional court in Frankfurt has delivered a major setback to tech giant Apple. The court has ruled that Apple can no longer advertise its Apple Watch as a CO2-neutral product within the country. This decision stems from a complaint lodged by Deutsche Umwelthilfe, an environmental advocacy group that accused Apple of greenwashing or misleading consumers with exaggerated environmental claims. The ruling directly challenges Apple's marketing strategy, which has promoted certain Apple Watch models as its first carbon-neutral products since 2023. Apple's campaign highlighted its use of clean energy, low-carbon materials, and efforts to reduce shipping emissions, with the company claiming to offset any remaining carbon footprint through reforestation projects. These offset projects typically involve funding activities like planting or protecting trees, with the aim of absorbing an equivalent amount of CO2 produced by the company's operations. However, the Frankfurt court found Apple's claims to be misleading. The judges specifically pointed to one of Apple's key offset projects in Paraguay, which involves planting eucalyptus trees. The court's concern centers on the land tenure for this project. Only a quarter of the land is permanently secured, while the majority is leased only until 2029. This, the court argued, creates a false impression for consumers, leading them to believe the carbon offsets are guaranteed for the long term, potentially until 2050, when in reality they are not. Furthermore, critics have raised concerns about the ecological impact of eucalyptus monocultures, noting their high water consumption, reduction in biodiversity, and the fact that they are often harvested and burned after a few years, which can undermine their claimed climate benefits. The court concluded that Apple's advertising violated Germany's competition law, UWG, imposing a ban on the CO2-neutral label for the Apple Watch in Germany. Failure to comply with this ruling could result in fines of up to €250,000 per violation. While the judgment is not final and Apple has the option to appeal, the company must currently cease using the carbon-neutral marketing in Germany. This ruling comes as new EU regulations, set to take effect in 2026, will prohibit CO2-neutral claims that rely primarily on offsets. Apple's situation serves as an early warning for other companies employing similar environmental marketing tactics. The broader implication is a growing demand for greater accountability in corporate environmental claims, with regulators and consumers alike pushing for verifiable data over vague marketing language. The tech industry, in particular, faces increasing scrutiny to substantiate its green initiatives with concrete actions. Apple's prominence means this German court decision could significantly influence how other companies approach sustainability marketing globally. Hold on tight, because the implications of this ruling are far-reaching. Next, we're diving into what's coming next for Apple's popular wearable, and the rumors are already heating up. Apple Watch Series 11, Ultra 3, and SE 3. What to expect in 2025. New Apple Watch 2025. Everything we know about the Series 11, Ultra 3, and SE 3. Following what many considered a somewhat underwhelming Apple Watch Series 10 in 2024, anticipation is high for Apple's 2025 lineup. Despite earlier rumors hinting at significant design overhauls, the Series 10 largely retained the familiar aesthetic of previous generations, offering only minor updates like a slightly larger display and a thinner body. Now, all eyes are on the upcoming Apple Watch Series 11, Ultra 3, and SE 3, with expectations that Apple will finally deliver some of the long-awaited features enthusiasts have been clamoring for. The annual September event, typically used by Apple to unveil new iPhones and Apple Watches, is scheduled for Tuesday, September 9, 2025, and is expected to be the launchpad for these new models. Pre-orders for the Series 11 are anticipated to begin on September 12th or shortly after, with general availability following a week later on September 19th. A notable absence in the 2024 updates was the Apple Watch Ultra line, leaving the Apple Watch Ultra 2 to continue with its existing S9 chip, even as the Series 11 was expected to feature an updated chip. This might suggest that chip performance isn't the primary driver for the Ultra's sales, or perhaps its specialized features are enough to maintain demand. However, it's widely expected that the Ultra 3 will launch alongside the Series 11 in 2025, rectifying this gap. The Apple Watch SE, last updated in 2022 with a minor chip upgrade and crash detection, is also due for a refresh. While rumors of a new plastic redesign for the 2024 SE model did not materialize, it's possible this redesign could arrive with the SE 3 in 2025. However, recent reports from March 2025 have cast doubt on the SE 3's development, citing potential production issues that could jeopardize its release, suggesting Apple might continue with the current model for another year. Pricing for the Series 11 is expected to remain consistent with previous generations, starting at $399 for the 42mm aluminum model and $429 for the 46mm version, with additional costs for cellular capabilities and premium bands. The titanium case option, which debuted with the Series 10 at $699/$749, is likely to continue for the Series 11. The 49mm Ultra 3, also featuring a titanium case, is expected to be priced around $799. The SE 3 is anticipated to start at $249, similar to the SE 2. However, potential U.S. tariffs could impact these prices. In terms of design, the Series 11 is expected to look very similar to the Series 10, with potential new color options like sky blue. The Ultra 3 might feature a slimmer profile and a slightly larger display, with code suggesting a resolution increase to 422 by 514 pixels. The SE 3 could see a significant design change if the rumored plastic redesign materializes, though production issues remain a concern. While advanced health sensors like blood pressure or blood sugar monitoring are still considered a distant prospect, the new watchOS 26 will introduce features like Workout Buddy, offering personalized coaching and motivational messages based on user data. AI integration is also anticipated, with features like live listen transcription and live translation potentially making their way to the Apple Watch, leveraging the iPhone for processing. Some of these AI features might be exclusive to the Series 11 to differentiate the hardware. Touch ID integration is rumored for 2026 models, with developer code hinting at Apple Mesa support. Performance upgrades are expected with a new S11 CP, though significant battery life improvements are not anticipated. The possibility of a micro-LED display on the Ultra 3 in 2025 remains a topic of speculation. But will these upgrades be enough to satisfy eager consumers? Get ready for a major announcement that just shook up the tech world as we know it. Apple confirms major September event for iPhone 17 and new Apple Watch. Apple unveils iPhone 17, new Apple Watch at September 10 event. Tech enthusiasts are buzzing with the official announcement from Apple regarding its highly anticipated September event. Set to take place on September 10th, the event is widely expected to be the stage for the unveiling of the new iPhone 17 lineup, alongside the next generation of Apple Watch devices, including the Series 11, Ultra 3, and potentially the SE3. This annual September showcase has become a cornerstone for Apple's product launches, traditionally setting the tone for the holiday season and the year ahead in consumer technology. The confirmation of the date signals the culmination of months of speculation and leaks surrounding Apple's upcoming hardware. While the specifics of what will be announced remain under wraps, the focus on new iPhones and Apple Watches indicates a continued emphasis on Apple's core product ecosystems. The iPhone 17 series is expected to bring iterative improvements, possibly including camera advancements, processor upgrades, and new design elements. Simultaneously, the new Apple Watch models are rumored to incorporate performance enhancements, potential design tweaks, and new software features driven by the latest watchOS. The event is not only a moment for Apple to reveal its latest innovations, but also a critical opportunity for investors and consumers to gauge the company's strategic direction. The performance of these new products will be closely watched as indicators of Apple's market position and its ability to maintain its competitive edge in the fast-paced tech industry. With the company's track record of generating significant consumer demand, the September event is poised to be a major highlight in the tech calendar, drawing global attention and setting new benchmarks for the industry. The anticipation builds as the tech world awaits Apple's next move, ready to witness the evolution of its flagship products and the potential introduction of groundbreaking features that could redefine user experience and connectivity. This announcement sets the stage for a huge week in tech. But before we look ahead, let's circle back to that crucial legal ruling that's making waves. German court rules against Apple's CO2-neutral watch claims. Apple loses court case over CO2-neutral watch claim. A German court has delivered a significant blow to Apple's environmental marketing, ruling that advertisements describing the Apple Watch as CO2-neutral are misleading and violate competition law. This decision, issued by a Frankfurt court specializing in commercial cases on August 26, directly challenges Apple's use of carbon offset projects to substantiate its environmental claims. The ruling centers on the specific offset projects Apple utilized, particularly a forestry initiative in Paraguay involving eucalyptus plantations. The court's primary concern was the long-term validity of these offsets. Judges noted that consumers, influenced by goals like the Paris Agreement's aim to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius by mid-century, would likely assume that the advertised carbon neutrality would extend until around 2050. However, the land for the Paraguayan project is only leased until 2029, with Apple unable to guarantee lease extensions. The court stated that carbon offsetting was therefore only guaranteed until 2029, and without secure prospects for project continuation, the claim of long-term neutrality was unsubstantiated. Apple had attempted to address the lease issue by referencing the buffer carbon credit account required by Verra, a standard-setting body. These buffer accounts are designed to act as insurance against the release of stored carbon back into the atmosphere due to events like fires. However, the court found that even with this buffer, it could not ensure the continued existence of the forest if the leases were not renewed. Eugen Resch, Federal Director of Environmental Action Germany, the group that brought the case, emphasized the importance of holding large corporations accountable for providing honest environmental information. With our climate lawsuits against greenwashing by industrial and commercial companies, we are ensuring that even multi-billion-dollar corporations like Apple must provide consumers with honest and comprehensible information about the actual environmental impacts of their products, Resch stated. This German ruling echoes similar legal challenges faced by Apple in the US, where consumers have filed a class action lawsuit alleging they paid a premium for the Apple Watch's carbon neutrality claim, citing worthless offsets from projects in China and Kenya. A hearing in the US case is scheduled for November. Apple has indicated it will phase out carbon-neutral language ahead of stricter EU regulations on such claims, due to come into effect in September 2026. An Apple spokesperson commented that the company remains focused on reducing emissions through innovation in clean energy and low-carbon design, aiming for carbon neutrality across its entire supply chain by 2030. The Environmental Defense Fund has supported Apple in the U.S. lawsuit, describing the company's practices as eminently reasonable and consistent with industry practice, and a leadership approach to decarbonization. This German court decision highlights a broader trend of increased scrutiny on corporate environmental claims, pushing companies to provide verifiable data and robust evidence for their sustainability initiatives, rather than relying on potentially misleading marketing language. This ruling is a clear signal of changing expectations for corporate responsibility. Now, let's wrap up all the top stories with a quick look back at what you need to know. And that's a wrap on today's essential updates. We saw Germany challenge Apple's green claims, sparking a major debate on corporate environmental marketing. Get ready for the highly anticipated Apple Watch Series 11, Ultra 3, and SE 3 with exciting new features on the horizon. Apple has officially announced its September 10th event, promising major reveals for the iPhone 17 and new Apple Watch models. Plus, we revisited that critical German court ruling that's putting a spotlight on CO2-neutral advertising. Don't miss out on future breakdowns. Hit that like button, subscribe to WatchWire News for your daily dose of essential updates, and smash that notification bell so you're always in the loop. Follow us on all social platforms to stay connected. We'll see you tomorrow.